I'm Andy Parker-Bates, so I'm Product Marketing Manager with Festo GB. For those of you that don't know Festo, we're an industrial automation manufacturer. We're #1 within Europe for pneumatic controls, which is our traditional background. But equally, we've been advancing the Industry 4 theme for a number of years. In fact, Festo was one of the initial technology partners chosen by the German government to actually look at what has now become Industry 4. So we've been looking at this for quite a while. There's been a lot of talk. You can't really go very far without seeing what the benefits to the end user and to SMEs is of this Industry 4 technology. What's perhaps not so clear and hasn't been spoken about so much today, or to date rather, is how we actually implement this as an SME. There's a lot of technology we're talking about, a lot of robotics, lots and lots of electronics, we're talking a lot of data. But what does that mean in the real world, and how do we actually go about starting to take this journey into Industry 4? And I think that's the other thing about it. Industry 4 is a very much individual view of the world that suits your manufacturing, your experiences, your stage in evolution. There is not one Industry 4 that fits everybody. And I think that's something that, again, often gets missed. We see a lot of ideal world scenarios, but unfortunately, you know, and especially in GB, we don't always see those ideal world scenarios. So what I want to do is just take you through some of the steps that we see towards the implementation. Now, normally we would do this as a 3-day workshop, but Gash tells me I've not got 3 days to do this. So I think now with all that rambling, I'm probably about 6 or 7 minutes, so I will plough on. Part of the delay in implementation, it's believed, has been caused by a lot of this discussion. We're finding our feet, we're starting to understand what this is all about. So there's been a lot of discussion between manufacturers such as ourselves and a lot of industry about, you know, what is Industry 4? What's the vision? What's all of the processes, the technologies? How does it all fit together? As a result of that, we think there's been a delay in the implementation of some of this stuff. So to try and break the deadlock, the VDMA, another German body, has actually come up with some guidelines to try and structure a bit of thinking. So it looks at some of the benefits and it looks at different areas and it breaks it down into manageable chunks that people can actually use to start to structure their own view of what Industry 4 will be and how they can actually move on and start to implement some of this. We see there's 2 approaches pretty much to implementing Industry 4. The first thing to say is that both approaches require absolute buy-in from the senior management within any organisation. Without that buy-in at the very top level, neither strategy will work. The first one we've got really is the top-down strategy, very much corporate level led, and it breaks down broadly into 3 areas. So the first part is a strategy development, where it's looking at what we think the future state of a business should look like at a certain point in time. The second bit is the implementation. How are we going to get there? Who's going to be involved in this? What do we need to do? What's it going to mean to our business? And then the third part of that is the evaluation. Once we start along this path, we need to be constantly checking, as Andy was showing in one of his slides there. Everything feeds back and we're constantly looking back at what does this mean to the bits that we've already put in place. The other approach then is the bottom-up strategy, which really is starting from where are we now and what can I do to continue improving my processes. So on the 5-step strategy, I've already said that we've got management buy-in at this point. So the first thing we would do is put together a multidisciplinary project team. Within that product team, we would want everybody in the business. We want sales, we want engineering, we want development, we want logistics, we want marketing, we want HR and IT, people that you wouldn't necessarily involve in what we would perceive to be a technology project. From there, we would then start to look at our market. We would start to understand better what's going in the markets that we're working in. You know, what is being developed? Where is it going? What direction are we looking at? And then also we would create our own understanding and our own view of what Industry 4 means to us as an organisation. From there, we need to look at what are our competencies within the business? Are we able to actually start down this path? Do we need to get other resources involved to enable us to do this? Where are we in our product life cycle? Are we at a point where we're thinking we're going to need to evolve our products to change for the future, and also our production method? It may be the catalyst that we need to actually embark upon this. From there and after the analysis, we look at some of these points, and what we need to do is think creatively to come up with new concepts, new business models that are actually going to change the way that we work, the way we serve our markets and our customers. The next step really then is to identify which ones of our business models gives us real high potential for improved sales, and also in reality uses the lowest amount of resource that we can put into it. How do we build on our strengths as a brand and as a manufacturer, and how can we add that into our products to add value to the product? From there, with the top-down structure, we would finish with a proposal that would then go back to the project endorsers, who would then hopefully buy in and set us on this path. Bottom-up is very much more of a journey. Industry 4 itself we see as being a journey. If you look at UK manufacturing, as much as it's nice to see brand new factories going in, the reality is for most SMEs, we're working with factories and manufacturing facilities that may have been around and tinkered with over the last 20, 30 years. So the question then becomes, how do I improve from what I've been improving for the last X number of years? So it's a journey, and with any journey we need to know where we're starting from, where we're going to, how we're going to get there, who's going to come with us on the journey, do we need other people involved? The dangers of not understanding where we're starting from and where we're going to is that we might actually be using Industry 4 as a bit of a sticking plaster to put over other real problems within our process. It might be that we're actually investing money in Industry 4 in areas which are not adding any value to our products. It may be that our confusion, our lack of movement means that our competitors are coming in, they're much more agile than we are, and they're able to come in and take our market share. And equally, we may also get to a point where if we're not clear as manufacturers and as managers within our businesses, our people start to lose focus. They start to lose faith in the companies and they move off to other competitors. So there's a lot of risks of not understanding that. Really, optimization of our processes is the starting point. Perhaps quite apt from where we are, but it was from, or credited to Henry Ford as first organisation, then automation, and that's very much the case. We need to reduce waste. We need to only really invest in things that are going to add value to our products. One way of doing that, and it's a very complicated slide, don't worry, I won't be asking questions on this one, is to look at our complete process from the point we receive an order to the point our customers receive the goods. We need to map all of the interactions out to understand which bits add value, which bits don't. Also on this, at the bottom here, you can see we've got a lot of data associated to it. Andy also pointed to data being a very big commodity within Industry 4. So we need to understand what data we have available to us, what data we need. We also need to be able to understand what costs are associated with each part of our process. Creating business models. Industry 4 is creating a massive change in terms of the way industries and companies are working. There's two parts to that. We've got technology enablers and we've got non-technology enablers. So on the technology side, we've now got connectivity, we've got much more processing power, we've got a much better acceptance amongst our customers for the technologies that we want to use. On the non-technology side, there are new businesses coming in. They're a lot more agile than a lot of our existing businesses. They've not got all of the, they're not sort of hand-tied with all of the bureaucracy and the hierarchical structures that existing businesses have been working with for a long time. They're much quicker to market. They can bring new products and technologies to market faster than most of our existing manufacturers can. They're also using technologies better to be able to reach a global market quicker and with much bigger presence than many of our existing manufacturers. As we heard from Geraint very much at the start, there is government money available to help in this area that will actually allow businesses to develop and move forwards. A good example of where this sort of thing has come in is in agriculture. Historically, the farmer, when he's planting arable crops, to get the best harvest, he's looking at a number of different factors, which you see down the left-hand side. This has been very much a manual process and very much based on years and years of experience of the farmer himself. What we've now got is, with this 365 FarmNet, 15 different organisations in all different parts of that supply chain have come together and brought data sets together. They're also embedding sensors within soil and things like this to actually create an automated way of telling the farmer when the optimum time to plant his crops is, when he needs to feed them, when he needs to harvest them. And it's based on so many different things, but it's completely disruptive in the way it works. Industry 4, it's certain that he's going to create change. There's a lot of new competition coming in. We've probably all seen it in all of the industries and sectors we're working in. We constantly need to be vigilant against that. People will come in, they will be quicker to react than we can react, so we need to be able to deal with that. We're getting a lot more feedback from our customers. There's a lot more data being passed around about our products and our services. Do we take that on board? Do we learn from that? And do we actually evolve and adapt? We need to take our people with us. It's fundamentally going to change the way that people work. If we don't engage with our employees and we don't take them on the journey with us, we will lose people. And the last point on this one really is about productivity. You know, we often hear about how UK productivity is lagging behind. But how are we measuring that productivity? We're measuring it against, in a lot of cases, historical measures before. We now need to measure against our competitors in different ways, in different markets, and we need to understand how that's going to impact. And Dash will be pleased to know my last slide is about communication. We can't get away from communication. Basically, our leaders need to be able to react quickly to changes in the environment. They need to free people up to make decisions for themselves. We can't have this hierarchical structure all the time. We need the right people that can harness the technology and we can get the information from it, the connectivity and the benefits of it. Machines will be more and more connected and permanently on. We need to allow them to do that, but we also need to know how to interact with them. And then finally, it's okay to say, I don't know. And I think as managers, that is probably the hardest thing to be able to do, is to say in this changing world, we don't necessarily have all the answers. We need to work together to find that. So in about just over 10 minutes, there's a brief synopsis of what we'd normally do in about 3 days. Anyone that wants to talk any more about this will be out there later on to see, you know, how Festo might be able to help you on your journey through Industry 4. And we wish you bon voyage on that journey. And thank you very much.
Fantastic.